Hey guys, welcome back to another Pain Points mini episode. Today we have Kristin Ellis, my co-host, and what did we call you?
Sidekick.
Sidekick.
My
So
favorite. It's the best title I've ever had. Sidekick.
Sidekick. Yeah, I like it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your baseball stats, like where you're from and how old you are, if you want to tell us, and your kids and what you do for a living.
My name's Kristin Ellis. I'm 36. Last I checked.
30-ish.
I am married. It will have been 12 years in just a couple of weeks. I have two kiddos, a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old who hopefully will not wake up and start screaming because she's right over there. I work for my father's environmental consulting company. I mainly do stormwater pollution prevention plans, SWP3s for short. And I'm from East Texas. I grew up in Carthage, a little tiny town, not far from where we are now.
Yay. All right. Well, you have a very interesting job. What is the best thing about your job? What do you like the most about it?
Honestly, the best thing about my job most days is that I get to work in my pajamas. Don't have to put on makeup, don't have to do my hair. I get to work from home and it's, call my own hours and that kind of thing, which is good and bad because, if you have that flexibility, which is fantastic, but at the same time, if you don't get it done during normal business hours, that means you might have to stay up till 2 a.m. or work on the weekend because you didn't, because you took time off during the week but still the flexibility, especially with 2 young kids, is really nice. But I also enjoy that one day a week I go and do inspections. It's part of one of the services we offer. If our clients choose, we will go and inspect the sites for them and let them know, what needs to be improved on, what needs to be changed, are there any issues, and that sort of thing, sort of help keep the TCQ out of their hair, which is kind of our main goal with our clients. And on those days, I get to get dressed up and go drive around and listen to music all day and walk around, pretty fields and construction sites and all kinds of stuff. I get to go have a day to be an adult, but the rest of the time I just get to hang out at the house in my PJs, which is
That's
fun.
pretty good for people like us who are more introverted or that like we're more homebodies. We get to work from home. You'll hear the nice little wildlife happening right now. There's a bird that is really upset.
All I hear is my air conditioner, which I hope is not messing with the audio too bad. But
but that bird is really loud. Okay. Anyway, what was the dream job you wanted when you were a kid? Like, what did you grow up going, I want to be this when I grow up?
When I was like a kid, I was going to be the first woman to walk on the moon.
Oh wow.
That was my goal. And then I grew up and realized that I would have to go be in space and that I'm terribly afraid of heights and that wasn't going to work.
Yeah, there's something about people like, oh, if we ever like take trips to Mars, are you going to go? And I'm like, no, nope. I'm good.
No, I'm fine. Yeah. See, my husband is like, yes, if I didn't have, the family, didn't have us, he would be on the first test flight to go to Mars. I was like, no, I'm good. It's nice here. I'll stay.
After you got past that phase of life, was there something else that you wanted to do? Like that was your dream job?
Yeah, when I was in college, I started off as a math major. I was going to be a teacher. And then I realized that would mean that I had to deal with kids all day. No, not something I really wanted to do. It was just what the counselors had told me that I would be well suited for. And then I've always had a bit of a green thumb, been kind of a plant nerd. So I got into horticulture. I was a horticulture major with a psychology minor, and I wanted to open up a horticultural therapy center, which most people have never heard of, especially in the part of the country where we live in. But think of like physical therapy for people that have been car accidents or have had older people that have had strokes or things like that. You go and you tend a garden. You you use the tools and you work the muscles, but you get to see the results of the work that you've done. Or if you need, if you're going for an actual like therapy session, instead of laying on like a leather couch in like a stuffy room full of bookcases, you're, laying next to a bubbling creek under the shade of a giant oak tree. It's just the piece of being in nature and the ability to, through physical therapy, see the work that you've done rather than just go home sore.
Really, really cool. We need to make that happen. I think. Next business venture.
I think we'd have to move to Austin, but yeah, it's that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, speaking of mental health and therapy, what do you do to start your day in a positive frame of mind that really gets your day going in the right direction?
So it's kind of backwards, but the way I start my day in a more positive frame of mind is how I end my day. And this kind of came about through having kids and, the postpartum and the anxiety that came along with that. I was very lucky in that I didn't have really bad postpartum, but the mild anxiety that I had before kids just sort of went after they were born. So I've made a habit of, as I'm trying to fall asleep at night, I list all the things I'm grateful for, whether that be, that I got the kids in bed before 11 o'clock, that, nobody's sick, that, the little tiny, even if it's just the, I made it through the day without screaming at someone, little tiny things, my job, my family, my husband, the fact that none of us have gotten sick during this pandemic, that kind of thing, just listing, going to bed, listing and thinking of all the things that I'm grateful for, helps me wake up the next day, feeling better. Yeah. Feeling more ready to go, so.
I really like that. I've never really, I think I always start the day like that, but I've never thought, oh, let me end the day and therefore maybe I'll sleep better.
yeah. It does. It helps with that too. And the better sleep you get, the better you're going to feel the next day, because, that's definitely something, Dr. Mike preaches that, consistent sleep patterns. And then you have a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. And it's like, no such thing. But you do the best you can, to get good sleep when you have the chance. So, yeah.
Well, sleep when you have small children is an elusive butterfly. But what do you do? What song do you like to play to really pump you up and get you going in the morning? Or if you've got that, I have that like 1:30 p.m. slump, where sometimes, coffee just doesn't cut it. Do you turn on a song and really get yourself?
You turn to Red Bull, my friends. I buy it by the case these days. So there's several artists. I've recently made myself a playlist that I a lot of times will listen to when I'm driving around doing inspections. And there's ZZ Ward. They're all, it's all very girl power, female artists. ZZ Ward, she's got a new song out called Giant, which is a good one. BB Rexa, there's one that she's not 20 anymore, which is kind of a, after having children and your body changes and all that. And it's kind of a uplifting, I still got it kind of thing. So that's what I turn to when I'm feeling kind of down about my appearance and the little bit of body dysmorphia stuff that comes along with, having kids. But like Jen Wigmore, Bishop Briggs, Marion Hill, those are all, they all have good, those are my my go-to girls that I listen to when I need some, I'm cleaning house or I need some motivation, or I'm just feeling kind of down in the dumps and I don't want to take it out on anybody else. I try to listen to some of them and kind of pump myself back up. So yeah.
I'm really enjoying that song I think it's called Kings and Queens by Ava Max. You should
I'll have to look that one up.
I turn it up real loud whenever I'm like, got to feel empowered for a few minutes.
Nice. Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll look it up, definitely.
What would you say is your, maybe not your favorite, but one of your go-to inspiring quotes that you really, really cling to?
There's one by Emerson that has kind of held sway for me for a long time, and it's not so much, I mean, it is inspiring, but it's sort of, to me, it's a reminder that you don't necessarily have to achieve, you don't have to be the first woman to walk on the moon, to have been a successful person, to have, and so it's kind of a long quote. So pardon me if I look off camera, because I have it sitting right over there so that and this may actually be a little bit of an abbreviation of it, but it's to laugh often, to win the appreciation of children, to the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you lived. This is to have succeeded.
I like that. I really like that. I don't think I've ever heard that one by him, so that's good.
You haven't? Yeah, and a funny thing, when I first met my husband, I actually went to, we were in college, or I was in college, went to a party at his house, and I was being my introverted self and had to get away from all the people for a minute, and so I went and snooped around the house, because why not? And he actually had that quote pinned above the light switch in his bedroom. And I already had a crush on him because, just look at the man. Why not, right? But after I saw that, I was like, okay, let's see, And so I got to know him better, and he lives life that way. And that was one of the main reasons I was like, okay, you're it. So
I
that's
heard that story about you guys, so nice. That was a nice little tidbit I learned today.
Yeah.
I know you're not on Facebook, but do you have, like, say, maybe your top 2 or 3 favorite social media accounts on some other platform that you gravitate towards that you really enjoy right now?
Yeah, there's one. It's called Flora Forager, and she lives in Washington. I know her first name is Bridget. I don't remember her last name, but she is a stay-at-home mom who's basically made a living out of playing with flowers. She makes, I should have gotten the book. She's published several books, and they're like coffee books, and it's photographs of the things that she's made. But she'll make, like, a fox out of flower petals and like leaves and sticks and things. And the book that I have, I actually bought for my daughter. It's the ABCs, and it's every letter, and it's some little animal that she has made, and it's a photograph of that animal for the ABCs. And here recently she has started, it's called Flora Forager Fairy Journals, and she makes up these little stories about a fairy and the adventures that she has, and then she builds these little sets to go along, and photographs them to go along with the story. And I'm really hoping that she turns it into a book one day. I'm loving following that right now, because it's almost like getting to read a book as it's being written, or getting to read the author's notes as it's being written.
That's really cool.
So yeah, it's really neat.
And she's on Instagram?
Yeah. She's, I don't know, she did some YouTube stuff. She makes these like flower crowns, and recreates classical paintings of, like, women covered in flowers, or with like these diaphanous robes, and then she like makes herself up to look like that, and then photographs it, and it's really cool. So I really enjoy her.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I like that.
Yeah, it's really neat. And so, disclaimer, I do vaccinate my children. If we get sick, we go to the doctor, we get some antibiotic, but I do have like I've mentioned before, a plant nerd, and went to school for horticulture. I do have a big interest in herbalism. more as it's fascinating to me because that is the roots of modern medicine. That's where it came from. You know, back in the day, women would use these things and they would be burned at the stake because they were witches. Because instead of bleeding someone, they wanted to give them some tea with these certain herbs that would help treat, And so it's called Chestnut School Herbs, and it's again on Instagram. And they do classes. And one day when I have time, whenever that is, I would love to take some of their classes. But I love to follow them because they share recipes and tidbits and education and about different herbs and things, and that's just it's just kind of fascinating to me as as the history and the science behind where modern medicine came from.
That's
It's
cool.
kind of a lost art,
Yeah.
that it's just fun knowledge to have. And if the zombie apocalypse ever happens, I'll be able to make us a tincture or some tea
I'm coming to
to,
you for some
to
homemade
get rid of the
antibiotics.
fever.
Handy. You never know.
Because why not? Yeah. And then there's on YouTube I follow Dr. Matt. He's a guy. He's from a little town outside of San Antonio, and he's a vet, and he has 3 very successful YouTube channels. One of which is dedicated to raising money and rescuing animals from shelters that would otherwise have been euthanized.
Right.
And he started a t-shirt printing business, and his wife has her own online boutique and her own line of activewear, and they have several rental properties, and he's remodeling an abandoned mansion right now. Like this, he's just a normal guy from Texas, and he's just a brilliant entrepreneur. And he's funny, so I enjoy following him and seeing and kind of going, wow, we need to get some rental properties. We need to diversify
I'm
some.
not achieving enough with my life right now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, are any of those people like your current role model or mentor? Or is there somebody else that you kind of look to like kind of as a guru in life? My internet connection's unstable.
Yeah, our connection has gotten a little funky, but I think
can hear you now.
Okay, there you go. So role models, mentors, kind of things. I tend to turn to like more people in real life, people that I actually know. It's great to look at somebody online and think, wow, they've got it all together. But you also have to realize that you're only seeing what they choose to present, which is not the full picture. So it's great to look up to people, that especially, successful people, because, that can inspire you, it can motivate you, and that's great. But as far as like actual mentors or role models, I mean, I guess my dad has always been a mentor of mine. He's, there's always that moment when you realize that your parents are real people and not just, they're not these like
all-knowing beings
all-knowing beings that you thought they were. And when I realized that about my dad, I was like, oh wow, he's still a really good person. Like, he's very selfless, he's very hardworking, he's very family first, leads by example, that kind of person. So he's always been a mentor of mine. And just my family, my sisters are both very successful, hardworking. My younger sister is a veterinarian. She's going back to school right now, even though she has a great job and she's very successful. She's going back to school to get a specialization in toxicology because she wants to, because she thinks it's neat and she wants to be able to do that. My older sister works with children, which requires actually right now she works with teachers. She teaches teachers, which might require more patience than teaching children. And she's just one of those, very, very organized, very, one of those people I've always looked up to her, just because, we're very different.
I think that's good. It tempers your own, personality with looking up to people who have little bits and pieces that you would, like to have.
Yeah. Which I mean, that as far as like, I guess since I've become a mom and moving to Lufkin and everything, I would honestly have to say that you've become kind of a mentor or a role model because, like, no, I'm not. I'm serious.
That's terrible.
With
The blind leading the blind.
I mean, we're not that far apart in age, but you had I'm an old mom. You were a young mom, and your children have grown. They're awesome people. They're so you've obviously did a good job. You knew what you were doing, or if you didn't know what you were doing, you made good guesses. And everybody needs that one friend that they can like just tell anything and don't have to worry about being judged. So
I try to be the kind of friend that I would like to have in my life.
There you go. Yeah.
It's as the older I've gotten, my circle of people has consistently gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And there's literally like 4 people I talk to on the regular basis. And I don't even talk to them regularly. You and I will like see each other every Monday. But like when we sit down to actually like sit and talk, it's like once a month.
Once a month, maybe. Well, I mean, that's that's when it's a true friendship. You don't have to like work hard to keep it up. You just, whenever you get together, it's like, hey, I saw you yesterday, even though it's been a month, so yeah.
Well, let's round out this interview with what advice would you give your younger self if she were sitting next to you right now?
I would tell her to relax.
Frankie says relax.
Yeah. When I was younger, I was such a worrywart and I was so worried about what other people thought. And as I've gotten older, it doesn't matter. It's all going to work out, even if it seems terrible and scary at the time. One way or the other, it's going to work out and you're going to figure out how to deal with it and it's going to be okay. So just chill out.
What's that quote? Don't burn your bridges before you get to them. They're like, don't worry so much about before you even get to that point in life. I spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, you can only worry about the things you have control over.
Yeah.
Which is very little.
Yeah.
If you really, it's not very much.
Right.
If you really think about it. So so that's
awesome.
that was, I would definitely tell my younger self to take a chill pill. Just calm down.
Well, Kristin, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule with small children and business and all the things you got going on, and mother-in-law's having surgery. So thank you so much for joining.
Which went well, by the way. She's doing good. So
awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, these little snippets into people's lives I think are super interesting, and they're not necessarily about business, but sometimes you learn a little bit about somebody, even if you've known them for several years.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we hope everybody has a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.